Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Hold My Crown podcast. I have my fabulous guest with me today, Meagan Tandy Wellington. Welcome to the show.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Today is a fun little kind of mini episode. I'm excited, Meagan, to pick your brain about getting into the industry. You are a successful actress. You have been for quite some time. I feel like everybody who's in the industry is like, yeah, of course I've worked, but like, you're always trying. Like you're always going out for something new. It's a never ending industry.
Definitely never ending.
So I want to hear all the details. But first, can you share with our audience a little bit of your background and how you kind of got into the industry, but also pageant, like kind of how those timelines, because I feel like you wanted to be an actress since you were young.
Yeah.
You did pageants at what point? Like when did you start pageantry? And then like when do you feel like your career really took off? But then I have a lot of questions. So give us a little intro and then I have some questions for you.
Okay. Yeah. So I caught the acting bug at a very, very young age. I mean, I wanted to do this since I had to have been like 6 or 7 years old. And like I was pretty young. And then I really loved a movie called A League of Their Own. I hope I did not just like age myself, but I really loved all the actresses that were involved in that. And I just remember watching them, or like there was a movie called Little Women with Kirsten Dunst. And I just was like, wow, I really love what they're doing. I want to do that. And then obviously Halle Berry. So I caught it really young. And then I started pursuing it very, very young. I garnered a lot of interest from the William Morris Agency at the age of 10.
Wow.
And I remember my mom and I kind of making a very crazy decision after that meeting. And we were just like, we don't know if we want to be with them. They just seem too big, blah, blah, blah. So I went with a different agency. And you guys, this like grassroots agency, they ended up going out of business 2 weeks after I signed with them.
After you're like, no, thank you to WMA.
Yeah. And I'm like, now I can't even get them to call. But anyways, so that was kind of a bummer. But anyways, so then jumping a little bit, I took a little bit of a break and, just try to just be like a regular school kid, enjoy school. And then at the age of, I'm going to say 19, National American Miss very randomly sent me a thing in the mail to compete for Miss California Teen, which, funny, I thought it was the one for Miss Teen USA. Because Miss Teen USA was on TV at that time. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. And so anyways, I signed up and I ended up winning. And
of course you did.
Part of that prize package was, at the time, you get a scholarship to John Robert Powers, which was a very old school acting modeling training program. They're not around anymore.
I remember that.
And so for some people, it was a little bit of a scam, but for me, it wasn't. I actually was able to take some really good nuggets from it. And then jumping again to Miss California USA, I didn't win on my first round, but the director at the time was the owner of an agency, and they saw me and they were just like, wow, your name should be in lights. I'll never forget him saying that. He's like, you've got a very Hollywood name. And I was like, you're damn right. Anyways, and so I signed with them, and then I started working on my commercial career. And then that's when I had to make a very big decision of whether or not I wanted to compete for Miss California USA again. I was like, gosh, I'm already kind of like doing this. I was able to get my SAG card right before.
How old were you?
Had to have been 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 20. And so I was just like, gosh, I don't know. I'm pursuing my acting, but then Miss California, I got fourth runner-up my first time. Should I go back? And so whatever, I went on ahead and went back. And then, mind you, I had that experience. And then after my experience as Miss California USA that year is when I just really started to just like hit the ground running with my agency that I will say, I did get them after competing that first time at Miss California. And then, things just kind of started taking off. And so I've just been solidly doing this for almost 2 decades.
You would never know.
Yeah,
you could still play a 19-year-old if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's funny. Someone told me that the other day, and I was like, "Thank you, thank you very much."
Yeah, girl, you're gorgeous. What would you say for you felt like your first big role?
Oh goodness, my first big role. I mean, so look, it just kind of depends on who you talk to. I mean, for actors, it's all very different. For some people, it really is that first commercial. I mean, so of course, my very first commercial, sure, that was awesome. But for me, it was when I became a series regular. And so I was on a show called Jane by Design.
Jane by Design. I watched every episode.
Yeah, and it was on ABC Family at the time, which is now Freeform. And so for me, that was such a big deal. But I will say, aside from that, my other like big time role for me was playing one of Denzel Washington's daughters in a movie called Unstoppable. And that actually came before Jane by Design. So it was a much smaller role, but I mean, I got to be Denzel Washington's daughter. So I was like, hey,
huge.
this is great. So yeah, I would say it's between those two jobs for sure that really just kind of helped to reinforce my love for the craft.
I love that. I don't know if you remember, but when I felt so like happy and grateful that you invited me to the friends and family like premiere of Unstoppable.
Probably.
Yeah,
in Rancho Cucamonga.
In Rancho, yes, ma'am. And you were like, come on out. And I was like, because we had just started our friendship because you had just judged me as Miss Citrus Valley.
Yeah.
And so it was maybe like, I don't know, maybe, I don't remember how much longer after, but shortly after where you're like, oh, come to the premiere. And I was like, me?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was just more moments where that's, those are how friendship starts. Moments together, special things that you share. Now, Meagan and I have been friends for over 15 years.
Yeah,
and
it's been a minute.
I think 17 years. It's such a long time. How did that time happen, though? I feel like we're still in our 20s.
No,
like, what?
I know, seriously. And it's flying. It's like just even hearing you say this about 15, 17 years, I'm just like, really? Because it feels like, you don't really think about it when you're just having such a wonderful time with your friends.
Absolutely.
So.
I met you around, I was 19 or 20-ish, and now I'm 35. So
yeah.
craziness.
Yeah, she's 35.
We're 35.
Yeah.
Anywho, so I feel like a lot of the audience that listens to this on the pageant side of the audience, and honestly, anybody in general, there's a lot of people that have aspirations to move to LA, move to New York, move to Miami, and break into the industry, or break into the industry even where they live, whether it's Chicago, Seattle, Texas, Houston.
Yeah.
So I would like to give some advice in general first, and then we can kind of pivot more to pageant girls. But in general, if someone is starting from nothing, they don't have an agent, they don't have headshots, they don't have anything, like what would be their first few steps to at least kind of get them in the right place to maybe be set up for success? I know it's so hard to really break into any of these type of industries, but like
tough.
What kind of steps would you give to someone starting from zero?
Yeah. So, I will always just make sure that people know it is tough. It's, I mean, I know that sounds, kind of, doom and gloom right off the bat, but I always just like to just keep it real. It's tough. But if you're starting at ground zero, truly, you got to just start knocking on doors. And I guess in today's day, it's sending out emails. You have to. There is a whole other pursuit of it in the non-union aspect of it. There's a lot of people that have actually found a lot of great success with that, where you can join things like, central casting, which they will take you without an agent, as well as without any experience, no headshots. You can just hop on central casting. Mind you, you got to get headshots once you're in there, but they'll take more inexperienced people. And I know a lot of people who started that way. Just
Is that the background work?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
For doing a lot of extra work. And so for a lot of people, they've actually found a wonderful way to be able to kind of get their feet wet. And then once they were doing that, they were able to go and ask questions and find other ways of how they can kind of get into it. But at the end of the day, it's all about exposure, and it's all about making sure that you are knocking on those doors. Because a lot of people, they'll just kind of like sit back and be like, all right, cool, I want to be an actor. You're like on this pursuit.
Yeah.
Like that is the job. So my wonderful friend Lamorne, he was on New Girl. Shout out to him. He's actually the one that was telling me, and it's so true, your job is to audition, and once you get the actual gig, that's the bonus.
Okay.
So you're basically, what I'm saying is like you are constantly on the pursuit. So you need to be knocking on doors, sending out emails, doing what you can to get representation, and then from there they'll guide you on like what kind of headshots and then what kind of training you need to get.
I don't know about you, but I have seen so many ads for hair growth products and thought like, sure, I don't know if that actually works. But let me tell you, for me, Nutrafol is absolutely amazing. I started using Nutrafol for the first time after I had the twins, and I am back on it now that I have had my last baby. I noticed my postpartum hair shedding about a month and a half ago, and I ordered myself some Nutrafol and started it right away. And I am consistent with my journey because I know that it works for me. It's worked in the past and it is working again. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. You can feel great about what you're putting into your body since Nutrafol hair growth supplements are backed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF Contents certified, the gold standard and third-party certification for supplements. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code HMC. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code HMC. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code HMC. Daniel's in the industry, so I've heard these little like quotes and phrases, kind of like what you said that last one, where, and tell me if this is correct, I don't remember if I'm remembering it correctly, but they say if you are even getting a call back for 10% of your auditions, that is success in this industry,
100%.
Let alone booking. But like 10% of all the auditions you're getting called back, and like you're doing well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It is a lot of no's. I feel like you have to have tough skin.
I've had so many no's. And honestly, the tough skin thing, it's tough. Mind you, I mean, anybody that's doing pageants definitely understands that, because, I mean, at the end of the day, only one girl walks away with the crown. Same thing with this. Only one person gets the role. So, you're going to definitely, I mean, it's going to train you to be very resilient. It's going to train you to thicken up your skin, because if it ain't there, honey, you can't do this at all.
Okay, well, speaking of that, any tips on headspace? Headspace is everything in pageantry and in the industry. Like, what kind of things do you do to reinforce your headspace so that you are okay with the no's? Like, what do you think of? What do you tell yourself? Like, what do you do?
So I can definitely admit I've had my moments, even with my, and I say it very humbly through the grace of God, even with my resume, I have had my moments where I'm just like, man, I don't know if I'm doing this anymore, because it's just so much. But, I will say for me personally, because of my faith, it does kind of help me to stay grounded. And on top of that too, ways that you can just kind of like keep yourself motivated is like going to acting class, because there's a lot of people, like, I mean, mind you, he's probably not a great example because he's a mega star, but like Tom Cruise, he never took an acting class. And so,
crazy.
But let me just say, that is not everybody's story, okay? That's like the 1%. Because, there's wonderful things in acting class. You can actually find agents by going to acting class because the acting coach, he knows somebody. Like, I actually know some people that because they were in acting class, their coach was just like, hey, you're actually like really talented. Let me introduce you to such and such. And now they're on TV shows. But going back to the headspace, it's just good to be in that kind of mental space with other people who are also trying to create the pursue the dream. Yeah, because it just helps to like reinforce what you want to do, but it's also keeping your muscle moving.
Absolutely,
because you're getting all these scripts you have to work on every week. So, but yeah, so for me, faith, obviously staying in some sort of acting class, and then also just believing in your craft. If you don't think that you're any good, then nobody else is going to. So you gotta convince yourself that you actually are a good actor, and once you get there, then the rest should be filling out for itself.
Absolutely, and I feel like so much of this really does translate between pageant world and acting world, because I say the same thing to the girls I coach, the clients. It's like, you have to believe in yourself first before the judges are going to believe in you. You have to know that you have what it takes. You have to know that you have what it takes to win the next one. If you're competing for your state, you better believe that you're ready for Miss USA or Miss Universe.
100%.
So it all really does tie together. Can I ask you, of all of your jobs that you've booked, what was the most fun job? And if you're comfortable, can you share what was the least fun job?
Oh, brother. Oh, goodness. So it's interesting. So, there's a lot of politics just, in acting in general. And I don't mean politics in the way that we all automatically think of them. I'm talking about, because you want to be able to work again. So I have to be very careful on the one that was not my favorite.
Well, I was like, oh, if you can.
Yeah,
share.
I was like, but the most fun, I mean, oh my goodness, I can't even, my brain actually wants to go to Survivor's Remorse. It's a project that was on Stars at the time, and now we've actually just been, it's weird, even though the show is done, we've been picked up by Netflix, so now they're going to be re-airing all of the seasons on Netflix, so make sure you guys go check that out.
Amazing.
Be aware, there's a lot of cuss words. Anyways, But I loved that project because I loved working with Mike O'Malley, our showrunner, who also, he started off as an actor. So it made him like the perfect showrunner for us because he's been there, he's understood. But I loved playing my character Allison because she basically was just me. And so the show is also produced by LeBron James and his production company. So I got to meet LeBron James, but the show is also, the premise of it was also kind of based upon him and like just the Cam Calloway. And anyways, I loved it because it was this character that just like was not, she didn't even care that this was like some big like star, some big like basketball player, like flashing money around. It's like, no, are you a good guy? Are you going to be a great person? And so I loved it because I got to just kind of like be myself. And I love just being on set. It was just such a great group of people. But that or Teen Wolf.
Oh,
Teen Wolf was fun.
Wolf. You have the biggest fan base from that. I feel like Teen Wolf fans were loyal. They did art. They like
big time.
They're just
still making art.
They were such big supporters. I love that.
They're wonderful, especially overseas. So I had to learn a lot because I was getting a lot of like fans from overseas, and I'm just like, this is interesting. How is this happening? And then it's because like after they air the show, a lot of this stuff is like airing over there, and it's actually like helping to teach a lot of like just people in general, like English. They learn from like watching our shows just in general over here from the US. And so anyways, I have like a huge fan base overseas, and that's why I started doing Comic-Cons over there.
Right.
And so, but yeah, just like being on the motorcycle, I had a shotgun, just being in the whole wolf world. It was awesome.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Now you and your husband are both in the industry.
Yeah, we're both crazy.
Two actors. I have so many people that I know in the industry that say, I will never date an actor.
Yeah, that was
I already am one. I don't like, and Daniel too, he told me that. He was like, I'm so glad you're not an actress. I would never date an actress.
I
like,
get it.
So you guys are crazy in a good way.
We are, yeah.
Actually, one little moment with my moment on camera in your world was, you mentioned Casting Central, and I thought, I want to maybe be an actress someday, so let me see if I think it's for me by doing background work and just seeing if I even like what the days are like and what just the whole feel of it. So I was only a featured extra. I never took regular extra work.
Oh, I
just
see.
The featured
The
extra work.
featured, okay.
Super
I love
special.
it.
I mean, I even had a character name in 90210, but I didn't talk. But her name was Claire. And I was one of the sorority girls.
Nice.
No
I
big
was on
deal.
that too for like 5 seconds.
Were you?
Yeah.
I love
Wouldn't it
it.
be funny if we were like in the same episode?
That would be funny. Small world. But I quickly came to find out I do not want to. Too much work, long hours.
I get it.
It's not my thing.
No, I got it.
So anywho, back to you and your husband both being in the industry.
Yes.
And this will kind of wrap up on this. If you have any good advice, I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts. What type of ways would you give advice to like support someone in this industry? Because while maybe someone's listening that wants to be an actress, maybe they can share this episode with their mom, their dad, their brother, their boyfriend, their girlfriend to also be able to support them emotionally, mentally. I feel like it's just a lot of no's. It's a lot of hard. Like, I don't know. What way do you feel like you support Brandon in his work? And then does he support you in your work?
Yeah, no. So I will say I definitely was one of those people that was just like, oh my gosh, like I would never date an actor. Like this is just terrible. But then I will say after a while, I mean, it took me a minute. I actually really learned to appreciate it because we both get it.
Yeah.
I actually will never forget my aunt saying to me one time, she said to me, she was like, Meagan, what kind of a guy is going to be able to put up with you being gone for 6 months filming in Canada when he's back at home working? Like no one's going to be able to put up with that. And that's when it really like hit me, and I was just like, you know what, she's kind of right. And so being with somebody who actually understands it and they get it, it's actually made it quite lovely.
Yeah.
And as far as support for one another, obviously like because I've never dated an actor, let alone being married to one before, so I'm still we still kind of figure out where our ground is. But I mean, it just goes down to like the baseline, just literally supporting each other's dream. And so, and not only just supporting each other's dream, but really understanding how far that person's willing to go, what their resilience is, and that when those no's are coming in, to just making sure that you're actually there to be like a really good backbone for them.
Yeah.
I will say it's a wonderful plus that he is currently on a show right now, which has been really great. He got bumped up to series regular about 2 seasons ago. So, He's been doing that. It's a show called Sistas, which is really wonderful. And so, actually actively seeing him in his pursuit, but actually seeing him in the bonus section of it has been such a blessing. So I think just making sure that, like, if you kind of just like remove yourself for a little bit and you just say, you know what, this is this person's dream. And even though like it has its moments, just making sure that you're kind of there, like your job is to kind of be like their crutch, you know? And so it's kind of tough when you're also like dealing with it too. You're like, wait, I need you to be my crutch too.
Yeah.
But just making sure that that baseline is, hey, all right, cool. Support. This is his dream. As long as you keep those things in your mind, you'll be a great partner for anybody that's pursuing it.
I love that. And I have a question for you as we wrap up. Final question. This is a weird way to end, but
brother,
have either of you had intimate scenes while you're in your relationship? So like you have a scene where it's intimate with a man, but you're also in a relationship with him. Has that happened yet?
Girl.
Because that's happened with me and Daniel.
So
let me know.
I could see that. The answer is yes.
Okay.
A lot of so I have my own boundaries. Like I won't get like butt naked. You're not going to see my stuff. But I don't mind implied things. And so there was definitely, on Survivor's Remorse, it's a comedy show. There's a scene in there where I'm having to like do something. And so for Brandon, I remember him telling me, yeah. I remember Brandon, sometimes he'll kind of give me crap about it. He was just like, yeah, you were over there bouncing on some guy and laughing. but like I said, it's a comedy. It's
laughing.
It's like a, anyways. And so that kind of bugged him. Now with Brandon, I don't even watch his show, you guys, because he's got a girlfriend. And I will say, they've had to make out.
Have they?
There's implied things as well. And there was a thing that he actually had to do with her. I guess it was, I remember having to ask him, I was like, was that scripted or did you just throw that in there? And he was like, I think I threw that in there. And it bugged me because I was like, you don't even do that with me. And so yeah, there's definitely some little lines that can kind of get crossed. But I've learned for me, I had to put a boundary. And if we're being each other's love interest, which we kind of typically are, and that's a whole other topic, I'm just not tuning in.
Okay. But even for me, knowing that like it's happening, I don't know.
Yeah.
Daniel had a intimate scene with someone.
What project was this?
Gosh, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the movie right now, but it was with Brenda Song.
Okay.
And it was like intimate in bed, that kind of thing.
And it was not a comedy.
It was not a comedy.
Oh,
they were in
that's
bed.
A little bit more going
he
on.
was her husband in the show, and they got married, quote unquote, married the day that he filmed their wedding scene, where you have a first kiss and all that kind of stuff. As a married couple, was our wedding anniversary. The day that he filmed his wedding scene with her, and then they kissed, and then they had their intimate scenes and all that kind of stuff. And something that Daniel always told me is he's like, it is my job as the actor to make you feel comfortable and know that like there's nothing going on and this is only my work and all that. So he's always done a really good job of that if he's been asked to do scenes in that kind of world.
And that's good. That's very respectful. And he's thinking about you.
I
and
just
your
cannot
emotions.
imagine. I can't imagine because I also have a girlfriend and her husband is on a show. He's a series regular on a show he's been for the last 5 years. And he's had a partner and it's a whole thing. So I feel like you guys are really good at knowing where your boundaries are. And one of your boundaries is not watching the show.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't watch it. I can't deal with it. I'm telling you, when I saw him do whatever that was, I was like, you know what?
Improv?
Yeah. I was like, is this an improv? But I think he did say it was scripted, but I don't know if he was just like saying that. So I was just like, you know what? I can't watch this show.
Yeah.
But that's also a bummer, though, in the sense that like we usually are typically the love interests. And so we're going to be somebody's lover. So there's going to be something going on, but yeah.
Well, you guys are so wonderful in your marriage and relationship. And I think that's the foundation, is just like keeping connected between you two and knowing that work is work and that's what it is.
Yeah. And I do tell him to make sure he tells me. So if he's even auditioning for a role that's going to be like that, I'm like, I want to know, brother. Okay.
Daniel auditioned for a role where he was in a scene with a stripper and I was like, oh boy. And she was dancing and all the things. I was like, But thank goodness he didn't book that one.
Oh, good. Yeah, see?
We're fine.
I know. Aren't you happy when it's just like, oh, okay, you didn't
shoot.
make
Oh,
it.
dang.
Aw.
Bummer. Yeah. Oh,
Darn.
Okay. Well, this was fun, Meagan. Thank you for
Yeah.
hanging out with me, chatting about all things in the industry. Any final thoughts for anyone, whether they're in the pageant world? Oh, shoot. We got to wrap this up. Final thoughts. We'll wrap it up for anybody in this world, pageant world or not, trying to come into the entertainment industry. I feel like you gave a lot of really valid points. But anything else that comes to mind?
No, yeah, I think just just same thing like what I was saying, even with the pageant world, is just don't focus on anybody else. And now I do think in the world of self tapes, you kind of don't really know who's auditioning anyway, so that kind of makes things a lot easier. But just make sure that you are knowing the industry, because it is forever changing. It's changed a lot. Shout out to SAG. We were out there. We were on the picket lines, and from that, there's been a lot of adjustments. So just know the industry, know who you are in the industry, what you bring to the table, and know your craft.
Boom. Thank you so much, Meagan Tandy Wellington, for being here and sharing your knowledge and your words of wisdom. Make sure you check out Meagan on her Instagram. What is your Instagram handle?
It is at Meagan Tandy.
At Meagan Tandy.
Yes.
And we will see you next week on the Hold My Crown podcast. Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Yay Media Group.